I just want to ask AP. I want to ask AP and
Well,
HD.
before you ask AP your
Sure.
question, first of all, keep Shaniqua's name out your mouth. We don't need another black woman's name being a prototypical
You're right. I apologize to
stereotype
all
of
the Shaniqua.
slander.
Listen, my name is
Okay,
Shantae, so I
you
mean,
know what
it's
I'm
far
saying.
from
So first and foremost, put some respect on Shaniqua's name.
Miss
First and
Miss
foremost.
Shaniqua. She
Um, Second of all,
my people.
I think I think we all understand that it takes two to tango. And we also understand that if men are going to be the leaders and we want them to be the leaders, typically a leader should be at a different level than the person who's following, right? Now, what I would like to add to the conversation is that some leaders are born, majority of leaders are taught, right? And you can only learn in most cases how to be a leader through trial by fire, whether you are experiencing it in real time with no leader above you, or you're learning how to be a leader while you're under the tutelage of another leader. The skills that you have in being a manager translates to a degree to your family, but managing a family is a lot different than managing, people at work, especially if you're managing a bunch of men. It's very different than managing a bunch of women. And I think we should have a lot more flexibility and understanding that, like, whether you are the leader or the follower, grace needs to be extended on both ways. If a woman's been taking care of herself this whole entire time, right, there's going to be some growing pains because she's the leader in her life until you come into play. So now you're asking another leader to listen to another leader, and we're going to naturally have issues and conflict, right? My whole thing is, yeah, my whole entire fight is it's like neither side is infallible. Both sides are saying, hey, hear me, I have these issues, can you please help address said grievances that I have with you, right? And the god honest truth, majority of our issues here in America is the fact that you have choice. Majority of the relationships lasted or even were attempted because you didn't think you had a choice. You didn't have more people to choose from. You saw the girl down the street, and that's the only woman that you wanted to see. So you stayed with that woman. This woman was like, well, I don't have much chances to survive without this man, so I'm gonna stick with this man. Now we have all the technology, we have all the money, we have all the options, we have all the rights, so naturally, and we have the freedom of religion, we have the freedom of choice. You can basically do whatever you want in this country outside of, murdering somebody, right? So you have to understand that majority of the reasons why we don't have those relationships, especially in the black community, is because we just have the choice not to do that. Now, the other people, like Shan mentioned, the Hispanic community, black people in general don't want to do the same things that the other groups do. Like other groups will literally have three generations in the same house. We can't even deal with our own generation in the same house. And then we wonder why we can't get the relationships, we can't get the family, we can't get the structures together. We don't even like each other like that. Matter of fact, the reason why we have all these arguments online is because fundamentally we have issues with black people. That just is what it is. As much as we say that we love black people, we also have the most issues with black people, right? Because the people who we spend most of our time with. So I think that
Can
I
I
think
just
that if
ask y'all as men a question? Because I do hear this a lot and I'm curious to know because something popped into my head a while ago. We often hear men say that men hold each other accountable. I'm with you, NT. And one of the examples that I remember a guy saying men automatically are held accountable because society is set up that way to hold them accountable. So if, we get a woman pregnant, we have to pay child support. If we, do X, Y, Z, or if we don't, we'll end up going to jail. And like was running all of these things down that would happen that makes them accountable. But what popped into my head is it accountability when it's forced accountability, right? So I've always thought that accountability means you see what the wrong is that needs to be changed, and then somebody might tell you about it, but it's on you to take the action to make the changes, right? But when you're forced to do it, is it really accountability or is it punishment? You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I think there's a
still
difference.
accountability.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that that's true accountability, because when it's true accountability, you're making the changes as necessary. Meaning that if you wasn't forced to pay child support, you would do that on your own because you're being accountable to what your behavior created, and you're being responsible and accountable to that. If I'm forcing you to do it, that's like, when you're young, your parents be like, y'all fighting, and they make you say sorry, and you're really not sorry. So that sorry really doesn't hold any weight. So that's the part that I get confused about when men are saying men hold each other accountable, because accountability also comes with action, and that doesn't necessarily happen.
I think, to HG's point, it's accountability. It's not complete accountability. It's incomplete accountability. And it's like, I think maybe men do hold some men accountable, but within their inner circle. But we're not saying, as they said to, like, Carmelo and some of the other basketball players, the apology needs to be as loud as the disrespect was. So what I'm trying to say with that, before I forget my tangent, is like, we black men are like y'all saying, they are holding black women accountable in this algorithm all day and all night. They might as well be getting paid for it. They might as well be getting a WT for it. But they're not.
They though, if the women aren't changing? That's my point.
Yeah, but there's a difference between being brought. This is what I'll say. I was taught that accountability.
I think women are changing.
That's why I agree.
I don't think they're changing at all. They're actually digging further in.
I think it's different. So I think it looks like it's not a in your face change. It's almost like how HP said there were some things he learned from the show that made him move a little different in his marriage. I would say, for me, understanding how men go into relationships, what works for men, being more positive, more respectful, that's what moves men. It may not be something you can see outright, but it has changed me. And I'm like, okay, I can implement that. You know what I'm saying? I can speak a little different. I think that women do look at these things. Now, don't get it twisted. They don't look at it and take everything, because Lord knows there's some stuff they still need to work on. But I think little stuff, I do think that I see like little changes being made. And like I said, they're little being made to, be a little bit more catering to, to men or whatever.
The birth rate plummeted. That's one.
Yeah. So I would say there's a difference between somebody holding you accountable and you taking personal accountability to actually do something about it. Because even in what AP was talking about, like the information and the challenge that somebody brings to you does nothing if you don't try to meet said challenge. So if you're saying, hey, H, I need you to lose weight, right? Your life is hard, because of your weight, right? That's somebody keeping me accountable, right? But me keeping myself accountable is taking that information and turning it and be like, all right, I agree. I need to step up my weight loss, or I need to step up my gains as far as like getting in shape. That's the next level. So it takes, like I said, it still takes two to tango, because you can say, hey, women need to fix X, Y, Z. But if women don't want to fix it, it ain't changing. Vice versa. You can tell men, hey, you're lazy, you need to get a job. which that's what men are saying. We're keeping other men accountable, and that other men and other women keep men accountable because they say, hey, you have an issue, you're causing problems, you need to fix it. But that person has to take it upon themselves to participate in the progress that needs to happen. So it's not that men aren't keeping other men accountable, and then it's not that some women ain't keeping other women accountable. The reality is we have choice. God gave us the ability to have choice. He gave you the ability to think, to reason, to feel, and do all these things. And with all the information that you have to choose. Just like if you want to be a believer in Christ, Buddha, or whatever, it says, choose ye this day whom you will serve. So therefore, the reality is you can only present stuff to people. I got friends around me that don't really work like that, right? And we tell them like, bro, like, what are you doing? We working. We I'm gonna be in Atlanta in next week, and then the next weekend coming up, right? That costs. I gotta work in order to pay this place that I live in. I gotta work, I gotta pay this. You know what I'm saying? So I understand and recognize the reality of my life, and I have to do certain things. I'm going to the gym, I'm working out, I'm trying to build relationships with people, I'm trying to work with this, work with that. Like the people who get it, who take self accountability and responsibility for themselves to make changes, they're going to do that. But you have to understand that majority of people are not going to do that. You know why? Because they have the choice to not do that.
Yeah, I think we hear you on that, HD. But the issue is like, it seems like men are taking, they're, at best, they're doing self accountability, and they're holding women as a collective accountable. They're not holding men as a collective accountable. We can look at the algorithm. All these manospheric or men
The
podcasts.
algorithm is built by somebody else. They do that for a profit, and so that we can continue to argue and fuss about this.
Right.
So you're talking about this algorithm, this thing that somebody else created, that they put metrics in there, because you got to realize in the US our algorithm is set a certain type of way versus in China they set it a different type of way.
Okay.
So to sit here and harp about the algorithm, you know, the reason why we can literally change the algorithm ourselves, we can literally cut social media off. But you know why we don't cut it off? It's because we enjoy it. We partake in the drama. Like a lot of the times, and this is just my personal gripe,
Yeah.
the reason why sometimes we have the most jacked up kids in the US is because we're trying to get them to stop behaviors that we do.
Okay.
So if you're a drinker, you're a smoker, you twerk, you dance, everything that you do, your kids see that, right?
Let me, can I
But
ask
we're saying, hey, this is adult behavior. Don't do that stuff now. Okay.
HD?
So they put a kibosh on it for a little bit, or they keep following you in secret and doing the things that you do. The only way you can truly start seeing, like, well, not the only way, one of the strong ways that we can truly start seeing changes in the behavior of most people, we have to change the things that we allow even in our own lives. We need to change the music that you're listening to. You need to change the way that you talk, the people that you talk to, the people that you hang around, until you're willing to even change the things that you like. Because guess what? People follow the things that other people do. If I see Shan making money and she out here doing this, that, and the third, I'm gonna want to make money because Shan making money. Look what Shan can do. I want to do
OnlyFans.
that.
They have these girls on OnlyFans because they like, oh, I see she making money. Let me do it too. I mean, because I fail to believe that women really want to show their twat like that.